So holy smokes guys, the EC6 launch just happened and they're using a very different presentation method than before. A lot of people complained that with the ES6 launch it took way too long. It was like an hour long for the ES6 launch and people were just eager to know the price. And this, I think they've nailed it with around 15 minutes of presentation, and the whole entire launch is as if you were a customer walking into a store, learning about the car, learning about the different functions and the features and the different colors. I think they did a fantastic job showcasing everything and what everything is supposed to be inspired by. First off, they decided to talk about the design, the dimensions, of course, very nice. And then they talked about the wind resistance of the car and how this is like just very, very aerodynamic. And of course 0.24 CD, that's the air resistance, very aerodynamic, and actually a bit more aerodynamic than most sports cars actually. And then they talked about how a lot of the lights and like the matrix headlights is standard, and then they have this new design for the headlights that we already all know about, but this emphasis on design aspect is very nice. And in previous presentations we didn't really get these kind of angled camera shots at the car, so this is very, very different. And then emphasis on the rear spoiler, electronic spoiler, and how good it looks. And then of course you got this guy saying, oh my god, this looks so cool. And then the sales rep says there's also 10% improvement in aerodynamics when it's placed in the first setting. And then they talk about the different colors, and this is something I really like about this presentation. First, they talked about the color Stratosphere Blue and what it's inspired by, how it's inspired by the Alps Mountains, the skyline over there. Next, they talked about the other color Arctic Green, which was first released back in 2021, I believe. And then of course we got the Star Gray, which is also inspired by the Australian skyline. The next color they showed off was Airspace Blue and how it was inspired by the look from space. And then we got Sunlight Gold, how it's inspired by the Icelandic light shine of just how it reflects off. And then here we got the Special Color Limited, which is the AR Lavender color, and it's supposed to be inspired by non-fiction skylines, which has this purple hue to it. And then the customer is all like, oh my god, these colors look so nice. Next, let's talk about the interior colors. And of course they talked about interior colors. There are 4 different interior color options to choose from, but they started off showcasing the different materials inside the car and how they're using newer materials that are both, first of all, dirt resistant and also very, very comfortable and does not wrinkle up. And then they also talked about the Karun wood that's used inside the car and how it's placed strategically at the air vents of the car to give you a fresh breeze whenever there's the AC is turned on. And of course the customer acts very impressed by this. And next up they have the buttons, tactile, very clicky, and also sort of like a anti-stress kind of button, and how the buttons are very, very responsive. Then they talked about how the interior colors are also matched up with the seat belts and all that kind of stuff. Then they started talking about different themes for the interior. So the EC6 has 4 different interior options. Apart from Onyx Black, every other color is only for the EC6. This one right here is Stream Blue, and it's supposed to be inspired by the Kansas Lake during morning hours. The next interior option is of course Red Loom, which also looks very, very good. And then the lady asks, hey, let's pick this color, I really like this color. And then the next one, which stole the show, is Stellar Violet, which is supposed to be inspired by the California violet trees. And of course the lady is like, no, we're gonna pick this color, this is our favorite color. And then she sits in it and got this really cool transition. And then they were saying, hey Nomi, by the way, I was watching this in my car. And then her saying, hey Nomi, activated my Nomi several times. But one thing that's really good about this car is the massage in the front is going to come standard. On the ES6, it is an extra package. So straight off the bat, you know, the price is going to be a little bit higher than the ES6. So then they talked about how Nomi has added functionality now, can set reminders, for example, alarms, and remind you to do stuff later on. This is something that's very nice, and it's very good that it's added on to the EC6. And of course, it's going to come standard with all the NT 2.0 cars. It's via an update. And also the queen seat is also standard, so you know this is going to be very, very comfortable, and the ladies will absolutely love this car. So then the sales rep hopped into the car to showcase some of the other features. For example, one of the highlights is the 1.77 square meter panoramic sunroof with auto dimming if you want to add that as an extra. So that's going to cost 9,500 extra RMB, which is really cool, and you can activate it with Nomi. So then they activated theater mode, which of course rolls up the windows and then turns on whatever they're watching, and then talks about how there's 23 speakers, 7.1.4 Dolby surround sound, and how the customer's super impressed. Oh my god, this sounds so good. And then of course they talked about inbox, which is a feature that a lot of people don't fully understand. But I think what was missing from this presentation is to showcase what it looks like wearing those glasses. That would have been a perfect opportunity. And then they started looking at the chassis, the frame of the car, and really showcasing how this is something that they spend a lot of effort on, and how the suspension system and everything is going to be continuously upgraded and improved over time, and showcasing how good the technology is under the hood, which is something that a lot of people miss out on and don't see. And then they talked about how there's dual motor, and they had to put in the phrase that if one of the motors went down, you still got another motor. I think the CEO kind of forced them to say this. And then the lady had to say it. She just had to say it. She said, so no wonder why everybody online says NIO spends their money at places where we can't see it. And then they talked about how the frame of the car is pressed using 1,500 megapascals of pressure through one press. And then very nicely they highlighted the number of airbags in the car, and using this actual airbags out here, and let people actually be able to see how many airbags they have, and including all the side airbags, and they emphasized on the front rear bag, and also a middle rear bag that's very rare apparently. And then the sales rep said how this is all active safety. There's also passive safety, which is a lot of like the AEB stuff. And finally we got our boy William Lee come out and talk about all the cool stuff that the car has to offer. Boy oh boy, waited so long for him to come out, and here he is. And of course everything he talked about is pretty much what's standard on NT 2.0 cars. The Aquila system, which comes with all NT 2.0 cars, 33 sensors in the car, 8 megapixel cameras to see super far away, and then one super far LiDAR that can see up to 500 meters away. You can see a brick 500 meters away even during night where cameras cannot see anything. So this provides the ultimate safety. And of course these sensors provide loads and loads of data, so you need a very powerful computer, which is of course NIO's Atom computer system on a chip with 4 Orin X chips capable of 1016 TOPS of processing power. All very, very standard. And they kind of made a corny little transition like, did you understand all that? We didn't understand all that. So very cool. And then the sales rep said, of course, don't worry that you don't understand anything. Just know that the car is very safe, active, and passive safety features. And then they got this very cool transition which shows a NIO activating NOP Plus and doing an unprotected left turn by itself using NOP Plus. And that's apparently one of the features that NIOs can do right now for NOP Plus. And apart from that, it can enter, exit lanes, speed up, overtake cars, etc. And even though it's so impressive, the guy is like, oh, does this mean that we can, and then they'll say, no. Of course, it's just saying like, you got to keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time. You're still driving the car, etc. And then they talk about how Aquila can also detect the environment and then maintain a safe distance away from the truck, even within the lane, which is very, very impressive. And also there's of course traffic pilot. And then the dude is like, oh, this is all very boring, I need something more stimulating. Sales rep is like, oh, let's go do something more stimulating. They put on the helmet and then they talk about how you can press both buttons to activate sport mode, and then you got 4.4 seconds acceleration to 100 and then 270 different driving options to choose from, including suspension, how hard you want suspension to be, the acceleration, the comfort, the amount of region on the braking, the steering wheel, how light or heavy. And this is something that I really like, showcasing how battery swap works. They gotta play this video clip, just this section, in every single NIO when it's in display mode. All right, and then talks about how, you know, when it's swapping, you can be in the car. It only takes 3 minutes. With the 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, you can get 495 kilometers of range, and then 630 with the 100 kilowatt hour. And then they talked about how there's over 1,800 swap stations, and like on rainy days like this, you don't have to actually get out of the car. It's all fully automatic, so that's very, very cool. And then the sales rep said this is all for your better living experience. And they talked about how there's so much storage space in the back of the car, and then how there's over 1,402 liters of storage space. And the sales rep says with this super big rear trunk, you can pretty much go wherever you want on your romantic vacations, like skiing, etc. You can put your ski gear in the car. And look at this. This is the fuel attachment on top. That looks absolutely killer. I love this. And the seats are foldable, and you can also just fold the middle part to put your skis through, which is very, very nice. And you can still sit people inside that car, which is a very big selling feature. Next up, they talked about tow hook and how the electronic tow hook is a very popular option amongst a lot of NIO owners. I mean, like, this whole entire presentation is also for sales rep to tell them how to sell the car. I mean, this is fantastic. Within 15 minutes, you know, you pretty much talk about the whole entire car. So in China, if you want the tow hook, you just have to do a little secondary test for your driver's license, and then you'll be able to get that. And then they showcase the self-parking feature, and you can park the car automatically while you're outside the car. So you don't even have to be in the car to park the car, which is very amazing. And it doesn't have to be lined up like it is in this video. And then they showcase the Arctic Green EC6, which just looks fantastic. And it's got the 21-inch wheels. And of course, the car comes with pet mode. All NT 2.0 cars has pet mode, so you can leave your pet in the car without worrying that your pet might get injured. So that's very nice for those pet owners. And then they showcased how the car also has the capacity to become a portable outlet to get power outside of the car, and essentially use the power from the car to do whatever you want, hold a rock concert if you want. And then finally, they talked about pricing. Man, oh man, the Snoop EC6 with over 100 safety and comfort features that come as standard will start at a price of 358k RMB for the 75. And then if you have BAS 288, 100 kilowatt hour battery pack 416. To be honest, it is on the steeper side, but you have to understand a lot of things come standard. For example, the front seat heating and massage, that's standard. That used to be extra on the ES6, so they pretty much just picked it for you. And then they have the warranty plan. Now, the promos for this actually are a bit light in my opinion. I was hoping for them bringing back free swap for just a limited time offer, but unfortunately it's just a 1 year free NOP Plus subscription for free for 1 year. That's basically all you're gonna get. Existing NIO owners get benefits. Like me, I own the first gen EC6, and I got the 6,600 voucher, cash voucher from William Lee in my NIO app that I can use to buy the all new EC6, which is absolutely amazing. And then official deliveries start tomorrow, but it's pretty much going to start today. There's going to be stores that deliver EC6s today. overall a very fantastic car. I love this new launch method, this presentation method. Gets straight to the point and lets people visualize what the options are and what they're choosing and what the safety features are. Very fantastic presentation. Peace out.